Good afternoon, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope you're having a terrific Friday. Hopefully you dodged the mess on the roads yesterday that was problematic for much of the area. Things are getting back to normal. We're hearing that, well, obviously the roads have cleared up after the morning rush. The rail activity is getting back to normal. Let's take a live look at radar so you can see. Not much to speak of in our area right now. No precipitation falling. Here's a live look at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. This is not what it looked like about 24 hours ago. Let's show you a clip of the snowfall as it started coming down. This is a time lapse of about 8 hours yesterday. See the roads near whiteout conditions there a little bit. Really poor visibility. Roads were covered with snow for some time before they cleared up. You see traffic was moving throughout the day, but some brake lights at the traffic lights there on the parkway. Even more snow fell in Allentown yesterday. Let's show you that time lapse. See at times only tire treads on the road. Quite the mess out there yesterday. Slowly but surely, people are getting on trains at 30th Street Station in Philadelphia. Many of them were left stranded overnight due to the first snow of the season. But the good news is there are less and less delays at this hour. Sabina Kuriakose was at 30th Street Station this morning with more. Here's her report.
So who hasn't been in a terrible transit situation before? But I think this really is the nightmare scenario, having to spend 10, 12, 15 hours inside of 30th Street Station, sleeping on those cold benches. As we go to video, we can see just what it was like overnight, looking a lot like sleepaway camp with these folks bundled up in their blankets and their scarves, because, of course, that's really all they had. No blankets here. Camping out here in the cold weather because they were struck with so many delays. It really was a domino effect. Some of the folks that we talked to had their flights delayed, then they had their buses delayed. They finally made their way here to the train station, but that really didn't get any better. And again, they had to spend hours here. And a lot of those folks hoping for that 5 a.m. train. A lot of them, dozens actually, waiting for the Keystone service line to Harrisburg. Well, waking up, come to find out that that train, too, was delayed. Took them a few hours, but a lot of those folks did manage to get on the train around 7 o'clock this morning. But here they are talking to us about their ordeal.
Our bus got cancelled after 3 hours of waiting in the snow. So we stood in the snow for 3 hours, and then we were told our bus has been cancelled.
Well, I was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. to go to Toronto, from there to Winnipeg, and then there to Saskatoon. So like 3 flights, and then the first flight got delayed. Got canceled.
I believe the ice caused some type of outage at first, but then we started moving again, and then they said a tree fell down and knocked some power lines out, so they canceled all the trains moving that way.
So we had to change onto a bus for Philly and pay a new fare, and we got here. But when we got here, the last train had left already to Washington, so we had to stay here overnight.
What's it been like waiting out here?
Cold and boring.
If I knew that the weather would be this bad, I would have just stayed at home, but I didn't know. I just thought it would be like a little snow.
And that's the line. Bringing it back here, you can see a lot of those folks have been waiting for hours just for this train headed out to Harrisburg, and of course all those stops along the way. So that's the good news. And also other good news for a lot of the commuters who are headed to New York and Boston. Those trains were okay this morning. But again, we are at 30th Street Station. Sabina Kuriakose, Fox 29 News.
That was our Sabina Kuriakose reporting on the problems at 30th Street Station. I have some good news to report as far as we'll show you, look outside our studios while we talk about this. Just got an email this morning from SEPTA. This was a little afternoon. This is an update on the regional rails where they've had plenty of problems. Inbound and outbound service between Center City and Thorndale has been restored on SEPTA's Paoli-Thorndale line. Train number 556 was the first train to Center City, scheduled to leave Bryn Mawr at 12:21 p.m. Train 558 is the first train from Malvern to Center City, scheduled to leave Malvern at 12:22. The first outbound train toward Thorndale was train 529, scheduled to leave Jefferson Station at 12:10. So passengers may experience residual delays while full service is restored. Of course, there were some delays on various lines. Most of the problems were south of the city. The lines headed south of the city, like Paley, Thorndale. So there's an update for you there. Want to get you this also. The top story right now on our website is stranded students and staff spend the night at New Jersey schools. This report came to us from our sister station, WNYW in New York, where West Orange public schools were closed Friday after students and staff were stranded at district schools overnight. Buses were turned back due to the fierce snowstorm that hit the area Thursday afternoon into the evening commute. According to West Orange Public Schools website, some buses were diverted to the Chit Chat Diner for several hours. Instead of going to their usual destinations, the students were taken to Roosevelt, Liberty, West Orange High School, Edison, and Redwood schools, where they spent the night. There's a picture of Liberty Middle School staff. They tweeted photos of students sleeping on mats in the auditorium. So quite a first blast of winter. Here was New Jersey Governor, blanking on the name, I have it right here on the screen, Phil Murphy, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, addressing some of the concerns this morning at an event, talking about the poor traffic conditions and the state's response.
Yesterday, New Jersey and the region got an early taste of winter with our first storm. And it came much stronger and hit us harder than anyone or any organization had forecasted. And that is a fact. And that, by the way, is not just a reality in New Jersey. That's the case in New York City, New York State, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. The impacts and the effects of the storm were truly region-wide. Unfortunately, the worst of the storm coincided with the early dismissals from schools and workplaces, meaning that just when we needed our road crews and all that equipment out there the most, they were competing with folks, understandably, by the way, trying to get back home at the same time as well. I know it was a trying time and it was a trying commute, especially for those who weren't able to make it home and spent late into the night or even in some cases in a hotel.
Looking again east on Market Street in Philadelphia, you can see traffic moving well. Most of the snow melted off right around here in the city. Let's get you a look at the current conditions. Right now it's 43 degrees outside, dew point of 32. Winds out of the west at 17 miles per hour sustained, so quite a stiff breeze out there right now. Here's a map of current weather conditions, current temperatures. Might have ticked up to 44 here in the city. 40s across most of the region, 39 in Pottstown, 32 up in Mount Pocono. Across the region, a little bit warmer down in Ocean City, Maryland. That's about where they were yesterday, too. 72, only 72 down in Miami today. They've been in the 80s a bit lately. 62 in Tampa, 60s along the Gulf Coast. 50s and 40s on the West Coast right now. A lot of 50s and 60s in the central part of the country. 30 up in Minneapolis. So you see where some of the colder temperature is. There were points yesterday where we appeared to be the coldest, one of the coldest locales on the map here. Not so much at this hour. Wind speeds, there you go, 20 miles per hour sustained in Philadelphia right now. And we're not alone there. Dover, Delaware at 20, Mount Pocono at 20. Multiple places in the teens and low double digits. Here are your gusts. 26 mile an hour gusts in Philadelphia. 25 in Wildwood, 29 in Dover. 20s across much of the area. That's, as you might expect, bringing down the wind chill. Feeling like the 30s across much of the area. 40s down in South Jersey, but only 20 up in Mount Pocono. Visibility much better than yesterday. It tends across the board here. Overall, we're calling this a 5 on our weather by the numbers. Always forget to make that not transition right back to my other shot. Here's your 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Windy and chilly today, 45 degrees, a 5 as we mentioned. 8s for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday looks sunny and calm, 48 for that Temple home game. Sunday, sunny and cloudy at 46. Monday, sun and clouds, 48. Repeat Tuesday, a little bit colder though, 44. Sunny and colder Wednesday, 38. And for Turkey Day, we've got Thanksgiving in our 7-day forecast. Cold turkey, 44 degrees on Thursday, but looks like a lot of sunshine. All right, let's get you to a couple national stories here. The first is an update on this story. You'll remember this.
Right. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I have one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have...
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian
indictments
investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down?
That, of course, was the interaction between President Trump and CNN's reporter Jim Acosta. Today, we learned from federal court, a federal judge ruled that CNN's Jim Acosta should get his White House credential back. Federal Judge Timothy Kelly did not rule on the underlying case on Friday, but he granted CNN's request for a temporary restraining order and ordered the White House to reinstate Acosta's press pass. This result means that Acosta will have his access to the White House restored for at least a short period of time. But the judge said while explaining his decision that he believes that CNN and Acosta are likely to prevail in the case overall. All this after President Trump banned CNN's Acosta from the White House. According to Mr. Trump, Acosta failed to, quote, treat the White House with respect at a press briefing. Acosta was questioning the president on the migrant caravan and Russia investigation. CNN's official complaint said this: an unabashed attempt to censor the press and exclude reporters from the White House who challenge and dispute the president's point of view. Acosta went on to thank people outside the courthouse today. He said, "Everybody, thanks for coming. I just want to say something very briefly, and this is, I want to thank all of my colleagues in the press who supported us this week, and I want to thank the judge for the decision he made today, and let's go back to work. Thank you." Of course, there were multiple news outlets that filed briefs in support of the CNN lawsuit. I think there were at least one or more that also filed in opposition to it. So you did have some dissension, although most of the major media outlets did file in support of the CNN suit to get back Acosta's press pass. According to the judge, Acosta has already suffered harm from not being able to cover the White House in the time since his press credentials were revoked. And the judge said that sending another reporter with a hard pass does not make the harm to Acosta any less irreparable. We do have a statement from the White House on this matter. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said today the court made clear that there is no absolute First Amendment right to access to the White House. In response to the court, we will temporarily reinstate the reporter's hard pass. She went on to add that we will also further develop rules and processes to ensure fair and orderly press conferences in the future. There must be decorum at the White House. The president also had a bill signing, I believe, this morning where he picked up this topic and others, answering questions from the press again in the Oval Office. Let's listen in on what the president had to say.
No, just people have to behave, and they have to do. We're writing up rules and regulations to make our position. I think you were treated very unfairly, both of you. I think you were treated very unfairly because you have somebody interrupting you, and if they don't listen to the rules and regulations, we'll end up back in court and we'll win. But more importantly, we'll just leave, and then you won't be very happy. Because we do get good ratings.
Mr. President, when you talk about rules and regulations, what do you mean, sir?
Decorum. You can't take 3 questions and 4 questions and just stand up and not sit down. Decorum. You have to practice decorum. You were there, you understood, and you understand. We want total freedom of the press. That's very important to me. It's more important to me than anybody would believe. But you have to act with respect. You're in the White House, and when I see the way some of my people get treated at press conferences, it's terrible. So we're setting up a certain standard, which is what the court is requesting. And always freedom of the press, always First Amendment, but that's the way it is. And we always have the option of just leaving. You know, if we feel that things aren't being treated properly, that people aren't being treated properly, we always have the right to leave. And I think the other media, the other press in the room will not be very happy if that happens. But I've instructed my people, when they're not treated properly, you have the right to just leave anytime you want. Okay?
Mr. President, China gave a response this week to your trade request. Have you seen that response? And are you pleased with it? And
Did you say China?
China, yes, on
Yeah,
trade.
go ahead. Tell me what their response was.
They sent a response with 142 items on trade.
Yeah, that's good.
Just
No,
wondering
China
what
wants
your
to make a
thoughts are
deal.
about it.
Yeah, China, as you know, Jeff, China wants to make a deal. They sent a list of things that they're willing to do, which was a large list. And it's just not acceptable to me yet. But at some point, I think that we are doing extremely well with respect to China. I have a great respect for President Xi. I have a great respect for China. But China has taken advantage of the United States for many, many years. Ron Johnson knows that maybe better than anybody because Ron's a big believer in what I'm doing. And I think that they're going to come in and we're going to either open up China and make it fair, because it's not fair right now. They do very little business with them, and we do a lot of business. You know, it just can't be. Plus, they have tremendous barriers. They have tremendous tariffs on us that we didn't have on them. But that's all changed now. We put on tariffs on $250 billion worth of goods, and we have another $267 billion to go if we want to. We may not have to do that. China would like to make a deal. Our country has done very well, and China, as you know, has not done very well. They've been down 30%, 32%. They've been down very substantially. We have helped create China as we know it today by allowing money to be sucked out of our country by the billions, $500 billion a year in many cases over a long period of time. And we can't allow that to happen. And I think we will have a great relationship with China. Hopefully we'll make a deal. And if we don't, we're doing very well just the way it is right now. We have tariffs coming in on $250 billion worth of goods. And we're talking about billions and billions of dollars a month will flow into our country and has already started flowing into our country. That comes from China. So China's never been put in this position, and I don't want to put them in a bad position. I want to put them in a great position. But it's called reciprocal. We have to have reciprocal trade. We can't have trade that's meant for stupid people. And that's the way they took advantage of our country. And we don't have that anymore, and they understand that. And I think a deal will be made. We'll find out very soon.
Just to follow up, sir, the list that they submitted, do you think it goes far enough? Are you happy with it?
It's a pretty complete list. It's a lot of the things we asked for. There's some things, there are 4 or 5 big things left off. I think we'll probably get them too. But it's, as you know, it's a very complete list. I think it's 142 items.
That's right.
And that's a lot of items. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more,
Thank you.
Mr. President. You on Twitter yesterday seemed a bit agitated about what you might be perceiving the Mueller investigation.
No, I'm not agitated. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. There was no collusion.
But did anything trigger that set of tweets?
No, not at all. No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the White House. I'm extremely happy with our country. We're doing better on the economy. Maybe it's the best economy we've ever had. They may be the best unemployment numbers and employment numbers that we've ever had. There are more people working in the United States right now at this moment than have ever worked in the United States by far. I'm extremely happy. I'm very happy with almost all of my cabinet. And, you know, changes are made because they're always made, especially after midterms. But it's all fake news. I'm thrilled with the way the country's going. I think on foreign we're doing very well. We're making trade deals We just made a deal with Mexico. We just made a deal with Canada. We just made a deal with South Korea that are phenomenal deals, and they were horrible deals before.
But you seemed unhappy with the Mueller investigation, particularly yesterday morning.
No, it's just a continuation. You can go. There should have never been any Mueller investigation because there was never anything done wrong. There was no collusion. There never has been. You would have known about it a long time ago if there was. There was nothing. They should have never had it. They've wasted millions and millions of dollars. There should have never been a so-called investigation, which in theory it's not an investigation of me. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, I like to take everything personally because you do better that way. The witch hunt, as I call it, should never have taken place. It continues to go on. I imagine it's ending now. From what I hear, it's ending. And I'm sure it'll be just fine. And you know why it's going to be just fine? Because there was no collusion. The fact is, I was a much better candidate than Hillary Clinton. I went to the right states. She went to the wrong states. She was not a good campaigner. Obviously, I campaigned very well. And I easily won the election in the Electoral College. 306, I guess it was 306 to 223. That's a big difference.
And you provided answers, sir?
About what?
To the special counsel. Your lawyers working with you on that?
Yeah, it's not, my lawyers aren't working on that. I'm working on that. I write the answers. My lawyers don't write answers. I write answers.
Okay.
I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily. Very easily. I'm sure they're tricked up because, you know, they like to catch people. Gee, you know, was the weather sunny or was it rainy? He said it may have been a good day. It was rainy. Therefore, he told a lie. He perjured himself. Okay, so you have to always be careful when you answer questions with people that probably have bad intentions. But no, it's the questions were very routinely answered by me. By me.
Okay. You mean the special counsel?
Have they been submitted?
You mean
To the special, yeah.
And you submitted the answers?
I haven't submitted them yet. I just finished them. As you know, I've been a little bit busy. We've been in Europe. We've been working on various deals. We just finished the USMCA. If you look at that deal, which is one of the great trade deals, you'll see. I mean, you can see how happy our farmers are. We've done a lot of work in the last period of time, so we've been very busy. It's been very, very hard to find time. But it didn't take very long to do them, and they were my answers. I don't need lawyers to do that. Now, you need lawyers for submittal. You need lawyers to go over some of the answers. But they're not very difficult questions. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Press.
You've been listening to President Trump's remarks in the Oval Office earlier this morning at a bill signing where he addressed questions about the judge ordering the return of the hard pass for CNN's Jim Acosta. I have one other statement to read for you. The White House Correspondents Association says it welcomes today's ruling in which a federal judge made it clear that the White House cannot arbitrarily revoke a White House press pass. We thank all of the news outlets and individual reporters who stood up in recent days for the vital role a free and independent news media plays in our republic. That was Olivier Knox, the WHCA president. Statement there. We are waiting for this event is expected to get underway soon. This is a Medal of Honor presentation at the White House. It was expected to get underway at 1 o'clock. Looks like it's running a little bit later. Again, this is President Trump presenting the Medal. The Medal of Freedom. This is occurring in the East Room at the White House, and it will be live. We'll bring this to you as soon as it happens. In the meantime, let's talk about a couple other stories. This shot's been fluctuating a little bit. It was, and I think it may still be, it's a projection shot of a screen at the Broward County elections where they are undergoing a hand count of the ballot there. Not much to look at the moment, but I'll read you a little bit of information about what's going on there. A hand recount began on Friday in Florida's acrimonious U.S. Senate contest. Looks like it just jumped to a replay of the president's availability earlier. A hand recount began Friday in Florida's acrimonious U.S. Senate contest after an initial review by ballot counting machines showed Republican Governor Rick Scott and Democratic Senator Bill Nelson separated by fewer than 13,000 votes out of more than 8 million cast. This is according to the Associated Press. Under state law, a hand review is required when the victory margin is 0.25 percentage points or less. A state website's unofficial results show Scott ahead of Nelson by 0.15 percentage points. They were projecting some numbers onto the screen there at the Broward recount site, but those are no longer up and available for me to show you. So let's move on to, this is another story that's getting a lot of coverage in the news today. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange could be facing charges in the U.S. Court documents filed in Virginia say that the Department of Justice is preparing them under seal. The Washington Post reports it could significantly advance the Russia probe, saying Special Counsel Robert Mueller looked at WikiLeaks' hack and publication of DNC emails. But a district court spokesperson says Assange's name was not intended to be included in the filing. And looking at file footage of Assange where he's holed up in an embassy in London, I believe. If I recall, it's Ecuadorian embassy. Again, we'll take you live to the White House East Room where the Medal of Freedom is going to be presented. Actually, I have two angles of this at the moment. We'll get you out there before this event begins. Get you a little more information though. We'll interrupt this if necessary. But we brought you yesterday a story of a South Jersey couple and a homeless man from Philadelphia who made up a story and launched a fake GoFundMe and committed fraud. That's according to Burlington County prosecutors. The hoax netted them $400,000. I believe it was the GoFundMe raised $402,000, and the participants are alleged to have received about $367,000 of that. Officials say greed caused it all to fall apart. Fox 29 legal analyst Ken Rothweiler joined Good Day Philadelphia this morning to discuss the case. Here is that report.
We know we did a good thing, and then look what happened yesterday. There are their mugshots there. And so we're going to tell you how the Burlington County prosecutor says how they put this all together, this scam.
The paying it forward story that drove this fundraiser might seem too good to be true. Unfortunately, it was. The entire campaign was predicated on a lie. Less than an hour after their GoFundMe page went live, McClure, in a text exchange with a friend, stated that the story about Bobbitt assisting her was fake. Specifically, she wrote, "Okay, so wait, the gas part is completely made up."
Let's dig into this because this guy's been studying this for days at length. Ken Rothweiler. Tell us back through it again. It started at Sugar House Casino when Mark and Caitlin were out there gambling, and they met this guy, John Bobbitt, in the casino.
That's right, about a month before this whole story broke. And I guess what they decided was, hey, you know what? Here's a way to get some money. Let's concoct this story. We'll get people to donate. We'll split the money. Everybody will do well. Too bad it didn't work, because when the prosecutors took a look at this, they went over 60,000 text messages, and they found out that this Kate McClure sent her friend a text message and basically spilled the beans to her friend, basically saying it's all a scam.
Right after she set up the GoFundMe.
That's right.
But the thing is, this may not have come out. The problem was the fact that John Bobbitt felt like he wasn't getting enough of the money, because the prosecutor said, listen, it's possible we may not have discovered this, but it's when he went to sue them.
That's right. They would have never discovered it. It's because he sued them, then the prosecutor's office got involved. They started to take a look at it, and the whole thing unraveled. So if Bobbitt never sued them and just talked to them and split the money, we wouldn't be here today talking about it.
Why did he sue them, just to remind everybody? They had $500,000 sitting in a big bowl at their house. And why'd he sue them?
Because they basically took most of it. They spent it on gambling, they spent it on a car, they spent it on fancy handbags and trips. And he basically said, hey, wait a minute, I was in on this scam too, and I'm only getting a little morsel of the goods.
And they weren't hiding it. They were posting on social media. Here they are at the Grand Canyon. They even took a helicopter ride to take a look at that when they were in Vegas. There's pictures of her holding her Louis Vuitton bag. And all the while, Bobbitt was saying, well, where's the money that I was supposed to get my cut?
It was kind of my idea in the first place.
Yeah, but, well, we don't know whose idea it was, but it's, somebody had a...
He did the same thing in 2012 in North Carolina.
Very
good.
It
wasn't GoFundMe then, but he kind of did my last $20 bill to help this woman get gasoline.
You're right. He put that on Facebook. So this tale goes back about I don't think it worked 5 years ago, but it worked this time.
So let's get to their punishment then, because if you look at the story, and Mike, if you can hold this up, they check their text messages, because there's a lot of mention of the text messages. That's why they kind of admitted guilt to their friends and some of their family members. When she started to get nervous about the fact that it was unraveling, she texted D'Amico, and this is what he said. He said, "You don't go to jail for lying on TV." That's what they're like, hey, we'll be fine.
Yeah. You do go to jail for scamming 14,000 people, though.
How long? That's the issue.
That's, 5 to 10 years. This is serious stuff. And these prosecutors, you could tell, this is a big deal because of it's not only made national attention, this is international attention. This story went worldwide. So I believe that if I had to put money on it, I would think that these people are going to spend some time in jail.
Is it because the amount of money that was taken? Is that what makes it?
It's not only the amount of money, but it's the amount of people that got scammed. 14,000. And if you do the math, about $25 to $30 per person. So this was a lot of people, taking money out of their pocket, donating this. This prosecutor's office is taking this very seriously, and they want to basically say to the public, don't you ever try this.
Right. They want to use them as an example.
As an example, absolutely.
Especially because GoFundMe is so popular now, and a lot of people use it. One quick question, though, because for her part in this, I've heard, and there's been reports that her attorney is saying, well, she was an innocent party. She just wanted to help and was trying to help make people want to give money. Can that be an excuse?
Well, she's actually saying more than that. She's saying now, McClure is saying that both Bobbitt and D'Amico talked her into it and basically made her do it. So she's turning around and pointing at both of them saying, hey, it wasn't me. It was these two guys. They made me do it. I was just, an unwilling participant.
But will that work? Because you still did it.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because the attorney seems to think so,
I think all three of them will get, whatever the sentence is, I think they'll potentially be sharing a jail cell.
Well, GoFundMe, they're going to pay off everybody, the $400,000.
Yes.
It's going to take a while. And now they're concerned that people won't use GoFundMe anymore.
And they're saying, in part in their statement, all donors who contributed, they will receive a full refund. We are fully cooperating and assisting law enforcement officials to recover every dollar withdrawn by Ms. McClure and Mr. D'Amico. Campaigns with misuse make up less than 1/10% of all campaigns.
Yeah, their guarantee is rock solid, so no one's going to be out any money. GoFundMe is a great site. They
but how do you know?
it.
If someone is lying, though, how do you find that?
Well,
we almost missed this one.
We almost missed this one. You're absolutely right. Luckily, we found it. Luckily, it was revealed.
Bunch of dopes. They could have had all that, but they got greedy.
You're right.
Always
You're
happens
right.
when money's involved.
Again, that was our Fox 29 legal analyst Ken Rothweiler joining us this morning to talk about the GoFundMe case there. You heard the statement there from GoFundMe saying that they have a guarantee that they encourage people to read, but they're going to be giving a full refund to everyone who donated the $402,000 to that campaign. I believe it was 14,000 recipients. I'm going to put up a quick shot here. Let me just make sure about this. Yes, these are streamable elements. This is a look at the Medal of Freedom ceremony. It's going to be occurring at the website. You may recognize the faces there. I believe that's Justice Sotomayor sitting with Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch. There's Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg beside the Chief Justice, who is now obscured. I believe that's the Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker, perhaps, who just stood up. So lots of prominent members of the administration, the Supreme Court, and others there, the different branches of U.S. government, awaiting this event in Washington, D.C., which we'll bring you live as soon as it happens. Let's get one or two more quick stories in while we await the beginning of this event. We have some Fox Business Briefs here. How singles can get a swipe surge on Tinder, a new way to avoid holiday traffic gridlock, and Jell-O wants you to have your slime and eat it too. Fox Business Network's Hillary Vaughn has your Fox Business Briefs.
Tinder is testing out a new feature called Swipe Surge that lets users know when there's a spike in users on the app in your area. The goal is to boost interaction in real time and take advantage of peak swiping moments like holidays, spring break, or live events like music festivals. Tinder says users that log on during a swipe surge get 20% more right swipes and are 2.6 times more likely to receive a message. Google Maps data can help you avoid the holiday traffic rush. Google's new interactive map lets you search the best time to travel in your region. Nationwide, the best time to travel is at 4 a.m. the day before Thanksgiving, and the worst time is Wednesday afternoon. The map also shows the top location searches for the days around Thanksgiving. Wednesday, the most popular spot searched was the liquor store, and on Black Friday, the most popular spot searched was the movie theater. Jell-O is coming out with edible slime for kids. The company rolling out play putty-like substances in 2 flavors. Unicorn slime that's pink and strawberry flavored, and monster slime that's green and tastes like lime. The containers make 2 batches and cost $10. That's business. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com in Los Angeles. I'm Hillary Vaughn.
And salmonella cases rise days before Thanksgiving. The Centers for Disease Control is investigating an outbreak of the illness. Almost 200 people have been infected with multi-drug resistant salmonella. The CDC is linking the sickness to raw turkey products. Experts say washing hands, cleaning counters, and cooking thoroughly can help prevent infection. Of course, Thanksgiving is next week. It's happening about as early on the calendar as it can. November 22nd is we've got sound of the turkey right there too, gobbling. It's less than a week away now. It's going to be Thursday, the 22nd. That's the earliest that it can occur on the calendar, as it's the 4th Thursday of the month of November. So again, CDC is recommending, the experts recommend washing hands, cleaning counters, and cooking thoroughly to help prevent infection of salmonella. All right, we are waiting for the Medal of Freedom ceremony to get started here in Washington. We have a couple cameras in the room here that we can share with you. I'll tell you a little bit about the ceremony that's going to be occurring here. There's been a little bit of controversy involving at least one of the 7 recipients here. Miriam Adelson is a doctor, philanthropist, and humanitarian, but it is perhaps best known as the wife of Sheldon Adelson, the Las Vegas casino magnate, considered one of the nation's most powerful Republican donors. She gets to add a new title Friday today when the president honors her with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She's among 7 people the president is recognizing with the medal, the highest honor America can give a civilian. The other recipients are retiring Republican Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, one of the longest-serving senators in U.S. history, Alan Page, who was elected to the Minnesota Supreme Court after an NFL career with the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears, and Roger Staubach, the Hall of Fame Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Posthumous honors are being granted to Elvis Presley, Babe Ruth, and Antonin Scalia, the conservative Supreme Court justice. I'm reading for you some notes from the Associated Press here. Their article, the Adelsons gave Trump's presidential campaign a $30 million boost in the final months of the 2016 race. The couple followed up this election cycle by donating $100 million to the Republican Party for last week's midterm elections. Miriam Adelson, 73, is an Israeli-born naturalized U.S. citizen who earned a medical degree from Tel Aviv University and founded a pair of drug abuse treatment and research centers in Las Vegas and Tel Aviv. She and her husband own the Las Vegas Review-Journal and the Israel Hayom newspapers. Let's listen in to the ceremony.
On behalf of the Honorable Antonin Scalia, Mrs. Maureen Scalia.
We've got the sound right now, so apologies for that loud blast. You're watching the Medal of Freedom presentation in the White House East Room. Some of the recipients and family of those who will be receiving the awards are being announced and walking into the room.
Dr. Miriam Adelson. Mr. Roger Staubach. The Honorable Alan C. Page. On behalf of George Herman Babe Ruth, Mr. Thomas Stevens. On behalf of Elvis Aaron Presley, Mr. Jack Soden. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Trump.
Thank you very much. Please. It's a great honor. Melania and I are thrilled to welcome you to the White House as we honor the recipients of our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, something very, very special. We're joined today by many members of my administration, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Hello, Mike. Steve Mnuchin. Steve, thank you very much. Wilbur Ross. Alex Acosta. Matt Whitaker. Ben Carson. Betsy DeVos. Administrator Linda McMahon. Ambassador Lighthizer. And acting administrator, who I will tell you is going to be made permanent. He's done a fantastic job, and I want to congratulate him. EPA, Andrew Wheeler. Where's Andrew? Congratulations, Andrew. Great job. Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you as well to Senator Amy Klobuchar for being here. Where is Amy, by the way? Where is Amy? I did better before, Amy. And for 5 decades, I have to say, the Presidential Medal of Freedom has been given to individuals who have made outstanding contributions to American life and culture. This year, it is my true privilege to award this honor to 7 extraordinary Americans. Senator Orrin Hatch, the late, great Justice Antonin Scalia, Miriam Adelson, Roger Staubach, Alan Page, and 2 more recipients who are no longer with us, but whose legacies will live on forever. Legendary Babe Ruth, legendary Elvis Presley. True legends. The first recipient is one of the longest-serving and most respected senators in American history. Senator Orrin Hatch, a friend of mine, a great friend of mine. He liked me right from the beginning, and therefore I like him. That helps. It's the way it is. I guess I'm not supposed to say it, but that's the way life works, right? For the last 42 years, Senator Hatch has proudly represented the people of Utah, sponsoring more bills that have become law than any living legislator, from rewriting our tax code to helping just hard-working Americans get through life, to reshaping our courts, to uphold the vision of our founders, to protecting the religious freedom of all Americans. His achievements are too numerous to count. Senator Hatch is a true American statesman. Today, Senator Hatch is joined by his incredible family, the love of his life, Elaine. They've been married for 61 years, along with their 6 children, Brent, Marcia, Scott, Kimberly, Elisa, and Jess. Congratulations. Please stand up. Congratulations to you all. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. The second recipient we honor today is one of the greatest, truly was one of the greatest jurists ever to serve our country, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Universally admired for his towering intellect, brilliant wit, and fierce devotion to our founding principles, Justice Scalia has made a deep and lasting impact on the history of our nation. His presence is dearly missed by all. Friend of a lot of people, truly great intellect. Justice Scalia transformed the American legal landscape, igniting a national movement to apply the original meaning of the Constitution as written. Few have done more to uphold this nation's founding charter. Through nearly 900 written opinions and more than 30 years on the bench, Justice Scalia defended the American system of government and preserved the foundation of American freedom. Our whole nation is indeed indebted to Justice Scalia for his lifetime of noble and truly incredible service. Joining us for this ceremony is his wife, Maureen, who's become a great friend of my family, myself, and their 9 children, Anne, Jean, John, Catherine, Mary Claire, Paul, Matthew, Christopher, and Meg. You were very busy. Wow. Wow. I always knew I liked him. Also here are several of Justice Scalia's former colleagues, and very respected ones at that. It's a personal tribute that they are giving to their friend. Chief Justice Roberts, where are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Justice Ginsburg, glad to see you feeling great. Justice Alito, thank you. Justice Kagan, Justice Gorsuch, and Justice Kavanaugh. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Looking down and saying thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is a renowned philanthropist, somebody who's worked so hard, doesn't have to do it, but she does. 24 hours a day, this is what she does. Miriam Adelson. A medical doctor, Miriam has dedicated her life to fighting addiction, something we're all becoming all too familiar with. Through decades of innovative research, philanthropy, and treatment, Miriam has helped thousands break free from their addiction to drugs and to alcohol. In 2006, Miriam and her husband Sheldon, who's with us today, thank you, Sheldon, established the Adelson Medical Research Foundation to prevent, reduce, or eliminate life-threatening diseases. To protect the sacred heritage of the Jewish faith, Miriam and Sheldon have supported Jewish schools, Holocaust memorial organizations, and helped Jewish Americans visit the Holy Land. Miriam, I want to thank you very much for saving so many lives and helping so many people to get back to a normal way of life. You've been incredible. I know the work you've done, and you have been truly incredible. Here to celebrate Miriam's award is Sheldon. Where is Sheldon? Where is Sheldon? Where is he? There he is. Oh, well, you didn't make the front row. He's probably angry. Thank you, Sheldon. And their children, Sivan, Yasmin, Adam, Maitan, as well as their son-in-law, Patrick. Thank you all for being here. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. And they were very happy to see the embassy move to Jerusalem. They were very happy about that. So congratulations on that also. They fought very hard for that. Capital of Israel. Our next recipient of the Medal of Freedom is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I used to watch him when I was going to school, and I'd say they can't catch him. He's just better by far than everybody else. He is something. He's the winner of the Heisman Trophy, Roger Staubach. As a midshipman at the United States Naval Academy, Roger set 28 football records. Upon graduation, he volunteered to deploy to Vietnam for 1 year and served in the Navy for a total of 4 years. At the age of 27, which is a little late, he began his NFL career, and what a career it was. Over the next 11 seasons, Roger led the Dallas Cowboys to 4 Super Bowls and earned Pro Bowl honors 6 times. His exceptional talent earned Roger a place in both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I have to tell you, I had a golf match where Roger was my partner, and we were in deep trouble. And Roger was also in deep trouble. He was so deep in the weeds that you wouldn't believe it. And we desperately needed a par on the 18th hole to win. And he came out and hit a shot. I don't know how it happened, but he was this far from the hole. We got our par. We won. And I said, that's Roger Staubach. I hope you remember that, Roger. That was quite exciting. Roger and Marianne, his wife of 53 years, have generously supported thousands of Americans in need, including students, military families, and our truly great veterans. So helpful. Roger, you inspire Americans across the country to work hard, dream big, and always push on to victory. Roger became a great financial success, very successful businessman after his football career. His family is with us for this special ceremony. Marianne and their 5 children, Jennifer, Michelle, Stephanie, Jeff, and Amy. Please stand up, please. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next Medal of Freedom recipient is American football legend, and he was indeed a legend. He was tough, strong. A Minnesota Supreme Court justice. He became a Supreme Court justice also. He's only nervous with all of these U.S. Supreme Court justices. Justice Alan Page, a very special man, a College Football Hall of Famer. Alan helped Notre Dame secure the national championship in 1966. He went on to have a 15-year NFL career with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. He became the first and one of the only defensive players to earn the league's MVP award. That happens very, very seldom. While Allen was still playing for the Vikings, He went to law school and earned a law degree from the University of Minnesota Law School. In 1993, he became the first African-American justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court, where he served for more than 2 decades. That's very impressive. What do you think? That's a very impressive job. Really it is. Thank you, Alan. Alan and his wife, Diane, founded the Page Education Foundation, which has provided nearly 7,000 scholarships to civic-minded students. Sadly, 1 month ago, Diane passed away after a heroic struggle with cancer. Said to be a great woman. Alan, we know that the goodness, grace, and hope that Diane brought into our world will live on for many generations to come. She is looking down on you right now, and she is so proud with love. She is so proud of you. Alan is joined today by 3 of their children, Georgiana, Justin, and Cammie. Please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. It is also my honor today to award the Medal of Freedom to one of the most celebrated sports heroes in world history, the Sultan of Swat, the great Bambino, the one and only Babe Ruth. He truly is, when you think, let's face it, Babe Ruth is Babe Ruth, right? George Herman Babe Ruth Jr., he was a junior. I can imagine what his father was like. He must have been tough. Lived from 1895 to 1948, learning the game of baseball from Catholic brothers at his orphanage. At the age of 19, he was signed by the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher and soon became one of the best pitchers in baseball. People don't know that. Babe Ruth was one of the best pitchers. He still has records today. In 1920, he started with the New York Yankees. And I have heard for many years, what's the worst trade in the history of sports? Babe Ruth, 19-year-old pitcher, for $100,000 and a 35-year-old third baseman. That was not a good trade. Who was out of baseball the following season? That was not good. Of course, 100,000 is probably like 25 million today, but it was still a lousy deal. But he became one of the greatest hitters of all time. They drafted him, they took him as a pitcher, but they knew they wanted to make him a hitter. In fact, we have George Steinbrenner IV. George Steinbrenner was one of my best friends. He was tough. He was tough, but he was good. Where is George Steinbrenner IV? His grandson. He's here someplace. Where is he? Thank you very much. Would you say hello to the family? That's very nice that you're here. Please. George was a real piece of work, I have to tell you that. Your grandfather was very difficult, but he was good. He had a good heart. Sitting with George during the playoffs, as I often had to do, was like you'd go home exhausted. It was exhausting. So thank you for being here. Thank you very much. The Babe hit 714 home runs, a record that stood for nearly 40 years. And people often would say that was a somewhat dead ball. Didn't have the life the ball has today. He would often hit more home runs in a season than the league average for an entire team. And in one season, hit more home runs than the entire American League. How do you do that? To this day, his career slugging percentage of .690 remains the highest in the history of baseball. Hard to believe, actually. The Babe was also known for his devotion to our nation and its children. He visited countless children in hospitals and orphanages, supported more than 100 charities, raised money and raised hell. Maybe that's why it's taken him a long time to get this award. This award should have been given to him a long time ago. I said, you mean Babe Ruth hasn't gotten it? We took care of that real fast. But he was incredible. But he raised a lot of money for the war effort during World War II. As we honor the legend who enshrined baseball as America's pastime, we are excited to be joined by a number of Babe Ruth's descendants, including his grandchildren, Donna Anilovich, and Tom Stevens. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Please stand up, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Our final Medal of Freedom, and here's another one who's just very incredible. Today goes to one of the most beloved artists and most enduring cultural icons that has ever lived. The king of rock and roll, the true king, and you have to say that, Elvis Aaron Presley. That was Elvis. That was my idea. I said, give me a little song. That was, I guess, a little promotional ability, but I will tell you he was something special. I'd like to hear the rest of the song. I don't know why they cut it off so short. They have no promotional ability, that's why. Growing up from humble beginnings in Mississippi, Elvis lived from 1935 to 1977 and first rose to fame with the 1954 single, That's All Right, recorded at the fabled Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Great place. He soon skyrocketed to international stardom, recording over 3 decades of unforgettable hits, from Heartbreak Hotel to Suspicious Minds to Burning Love. Elvis also won 3 Grammys for his gospel recordings, which were incredible, including his soaring live performance of How Great Thou Art. Just got to hear a little piece of it. Deeply patriotic, Elvis served in the United States military at the height of his fame. He had a choice, and to him it wasn't a choice. Presley starred in more than 30 films, and his 1973 television special, Elvis Aloha from Hawaii, was viewed by more than 1 billion people around the world, one of the highest ever in the history of television. After redefining music in the 50s and redefining cinema in the 60s, the King, as he was known by everybody to this day, they call him the King, revolutionized live performances in the 1970s. From the moment Elvis walked on the stage to the closing chords of Can't Help Falling in Love, crowds were enraptured by Elvis's electric performances and unbreakable bond with his fans. In fact, at the end of a performance, oftentimes the fans would go so wild. I was there once in Las Vegas at the Hilton. The fans were ripping the place apart, screaming. They were going crazy. And they announced, Elvis has left the house. Elvis, if they didn't say that, I think I'd still be there. Maybe I wouldn't be here. But they had to do that. Elvis has gone. Elvis has left. Today, we're glad to be joined by President and CEO of Elvis Presley Enterprises, Jack Sawden. Jack, thank you very much. I want to congratulate all of this year's recipients, family members, and loved ones. America is blessed to have the most skill, passion, and talent anywhere on earth. We are truly a great nation, and we're a nation that is doing really, really well right now. We have our greatest economy ever. We have our greatest employment numbers ever. We're doing well, and we're proud to be doing so well. And I'd like to now ask the military aide to come forward and read the citations for each recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you.
The Honorable Orrin G. Hatch. Senator Orrin Hatch is one of the longest-serving senators in American history, having represented Utah for more than 41 years. Currently, the Senate's president pro tempore and chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Hatch has sponsored more bills that have become law than any other living member of Congress. He has led the way in confirming qualified judges throughout the federal judiciary in order to protect our constitutional order, and has championed religious liberty, fought against communism, and stood on the side of freedom around the world. Senator Hatch's dedication to the Senate, the country, and the rule of law has helped make our country what it is today, and for that we honor him. The Honorable Antonin Scalia. Antonin Scalia was one of the greatest Supreme Court justices in American history. Confirmed unanimously in 1986, Justice Scalia authored nearly 900 Supreme Court opinions. He was a champion of the Constitution, insisting that the role of federal judges is to uphold the original meaning of the Constitution, never to impose their own beliefs on the country. Justice Scalia's legal philosophy is rooted in America's founding principles, legal heritage, and constitutional obligations. He never backed down from the bedrock proposition that the Constitution means and will always mean what it meant when it was adopted. Justice Scalia's devotion to the rule of law has left a lasting legacy for our country, and we now honor this giant of the Supreme Court. Dr. Miriam Adelson. Miriam Adelson is a committed doctor, philanthropist, and humanitarian. She has practiced internal and emergency medicine, studied and specialized in the disease of narcotic addiction, and founded 2 research centers committed to fighting substance abuse. She and her husband Sheldon also established the Adelson Medical Research Foundation, which supports research to prevent, reduce, or eliminate disabling and life-threatening illness. As a committed member of the American Jewish community, she has supported Jewish schools, Holocaust memorial organizations, Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, and Birthright Israel, among other causes. The United States is proud to recognize Dr. Adelson for an incredible career and record of service to her community and the country. Roger Staubach. Hall of Fame quarterback Roger Staubach played 11 seasons in the National Football League, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys and making the Pro Bowl 6 times. He first made his mark on football at the United States Naval Academy, where he set 28 records and won the Heisman Trophy in 1963. Soon after graduating, Mr. Staubach volunteered to fight in the Vietnam War. Following his football career, he was a successful businessman and a champion for many charitable causes, including the United Way of America, the Children's Scholarship Fund, and Allies in Service, an organization devoted to supporting service members, veterans, and their spouses. The United States now honors Mr. Staubach's life of service and accomplishment on and off the field. The Honorable Alan C. Page. Justice Alan Page is an accomplished jurist, athlete, and philanthropist. After a successful college football career at the University of Notre Dame, he played 15 years in the National Football League with the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears. He started in 4 Super Bowls, was named the NFL's most valuable player in 1971, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1988. While playing for the Vikings, he obtained his law degree and practiced law during the off-season. After retiring from the NFL in 1981, Justice Page practiced law full-time before winning a seat on the Minnesota Supreme Court in 1992. He served for more than 20 years. Since 1988, his Page Education Foundation has provided scholarships to nearly 7,000 students. The United States proudly recognizes Justice Page's athletic accomplishments and lifetime of public service and philanthropy. George Herman Babe Ruth, Jr. Babe Ruth played for 4 baseball teams between 1914 and 1935. He set records that stood for decades, including 714 home runs, 2,873 hits, 2,174 runs, and 2,062 walks, and he remains unmatched with a .690 slugging percentage. Over 15 legendary seasons, Babe Ruth led the Yankees to 7 American League championships and 4 World Series championships. His legacy has never been eclipsed, and he remains the personification of America's pastime. Off the baseball field, he created the Babe Ruth Foundation and tirelessly raised funds for the war effort during the Second World War. The United States proudly honors an American hero who forever changed the landscape of American sports. Elvis Aaron Presley. Elvis Presley defined American culture to billions of adoring fans around the world. The king of rock and roll, Elvis fused gospel, country, and rhythm and blues to create a sound all his own, selling more than 1 billion records. Elvis also served nearly 2 years in the United States Army, humbly accepting the call to serve despite his fame. He starred in 31 films, drew record-breaking audiences to his shows, sent television ratings soaring, and earned 14 Grammy Award nominations. He ultimately won 3 Grammy Awards for his gospel music. Decades after his passing, Elvis Presley remains an enduring and beloved American icon. The United States is proud to honor this American legend.
I just want to thank everybody. These are outstanding individuals, and we're so proud to have them represent us for so many years, and it's a great honor to have everybody with us. And on behalf of the First Lady, Melania, myself, thank you all for being here. This has been extraordinary. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated until the President, Mrs. Trump, and medalists have departed the East Room.
you've been watching President Trump awarding the Presidential Medal of Freedom to 7 recipients there in the White House East Room. The Presidential Medal of Freedom being the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a civilian in America. Bring you back live here in our Fox 29 studios behind the glass here in the Technical Operations Center. Make sure we have that sound off there. Let's get one more look at radar. You see not much going on, not much in the way of activity. Here's a look at the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. Current conditions right now, 44 degrees, dew point of 30 degrees. Winds out of the west at 19 miles an hour, so wind is still pretty stiff out there. Let's take a look at those winds. Now we'll get your temperatures first. Spin through weather one last time. 44 in Philadelphia, as we mentioned. 40s across most of the area, except Pottstown 39, Mount Pocono 32. Your northeast temperatures. They've ticked up to 51 down in Ocean City, Maryland, but much of the area is in the 30s and 40s. Nationally, down in the 60s and 70s in Florida, as well as the Gulf Coast and interior of Texas. 50s and 40s on the West Coast, 30s across, up in the highest of the northern plains, or up in Minneapolis anyway. Billings, Montana, and 40 degrees, 51 in Rapid City. So some of the coldest air over the northwest there, the Midwest, I should say, and stretching into New England. Here are those wind speeds we mentioned, 20 miles an hour in Philadelphia, 21 in Wilmington, teens elsewhere, except Mount Pocono, 25. Gusts to 31 in Philadelphia right now, 30 in Atlantic City, 28 in Toms River. So 30s and 20s for a lot of the wind gusts. That, as you'd expect, is bringing down the wind chill. 36 in Philadelphia. Feels about 8 degrees cooler than it is temperature-wise. 40s in South Jersey, but 30s across much of the area, and then 19 up in Mount Pocono, where we obviously said it's colder. And on top of that, you've got the stiffer winds. I think it was 30-mile-an-hour gusts up there. We're calling it again a 5 on our Fox 29 weather by the numbers. Windy and chilly right now, 45 degrees for an expected high. Sunny and calm Saturday at 48 for Temple Owls home game. Sunday, sunny and cloudy, 46. Sun and clouds remain a theme, 48 on Monday, 44 on Tuesday. Wednesday's 38 for a high, sunny and colder. You see the overnight lows back in the 20s. And cold turkey on Thursday. I want to thank you very much for joining us on Fox 29 News Now today. We're with you weekdays, usually after a good day, sometimes a little bit later. Try to come to you with some live events as they happen. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Of course, we'll have more on our biggest stories of the day, the recovery from the snowstorm and commuter nightmare for some people, taking hours to get home, some people stuck where they were for the night. We'll have the latest on that on the Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11 tonight, as well as your other top stories from the day. Have a great rest of your Friday.